Hey guys, it's me, Paco. So this will be the start of another weekly vlog, and so for today I've just done some work and I have done some laundry, and I have continued on reading A Secret History of Witches, which I started in my last vlog. If you've not seen that video, I'll link it in the description below. But essentially, we do follow these women, like 5 generations of fiercely powerful mothers and daughters, witches whose magical inheritance is both a dangerous threat and an extraordinary gift. And I'm just gonna continue on where I picked up from my last vlog. So, if you want to know, like, I guess my initial thoughts on it for, I think, 110 or so pages. I'll be there. Well, yeah, so far right now I'm on page 190, and we do see more of her. So, like, we kind of see, I guess, what her mother and Nanette did as this older neighbor comes to court or so, like, out of nowhere. I mean, it's kind of not nowhere, it's kind of like, he is a widow. His wife died giving birth to their child. Her child died as well a year prior, and that year is up in apparently in a year is like the appropriate amount of time to be in mourning. Like, yeah, but he goes to court or so. Who she doesn't really seem to care about him. She doesn't really love the fact he's calling her Ursula, and that's something that never changes. The fact he keeps calling her Ursula. But she does marry him mostly like just to make her mother happy. Like, her mother didn't want her alone, because Nanette, she knows she's gonna die. There's gonna come a day where she leaves her daughter all alone. And yeah, we just see as the years go by in this marriage, and like about a decade pass, and or so she stopped measuring the years by Sabbats, but by the former seasons, like when it's time to sow the preserves and the preserves in the spring, to till the crops in the summer, or no, breed animals and breed the animals and do the harvest in the fall, and just do like house chores in the winter time. And yeah, the marriage doesn't seem to be one out of love, but more like benefit, I guess. I don't really know this, because like Ursula, she doesn't think for her husband, and they don't really like celebrate like marriages or marriage anniversaries or anything like that. It's like they just exist. Like, they do try for me, but they seem to be unsuccessful. And I guess because he is older than her, or I don't know why, but he's always tired, it seems. But and as years do pass, and Nana realizes that she wants the line to continue, or she just wants to learn to. Eventually, the husband's gonna die and leave his own age again, and eventually Nanette will die. So she just wants to be sure that Ursula's not alone, and she convinces her to ask the goddess to bless her with a baby, and to ensure she's not alone. And Ursula's powers do finally come in, like when she casts a spell to ask the goddess to bless her with a baby. Give me a second, anyways, because I feel like the sun is about to be blinding. Now that's better, and the sun was actually blinding me, so yeah. But yeah, she does that, and we do see like Ursula. She's someone who's like always doubtful of the craft and whatnot, and it's like only when she has actual proof does she finally believe in the craft. And the fact her mother is a witch and that she's a witch, when the crystal like responds to her, and it's like looks different when it's just her alone in the cave with the altar, and the spell kind of comes true, but also casted another spell, like, so it's like no matter what, she has a baby. And I think it's reason specific, like it has to be a baby that's from her husband. She meets this man, a traveling musician, who looks at her stall at the market, and she's drawn to him. Like, she thinks he's the most beautiful man in the world. She's very much charmed by him and everything that he is. And She does tell him she is married. She doesn't like too much, like, but still, like, he lies with her. Like, he does for some reason think that because he's a travel musician. I guess he is not aware of the way of society because he doesn't invite her to his room at the tavern thing. But she knows the people are talking to make it less suspicious. Like, she makes it look like she's offering him a wine, and they go to they make love at the side of the road, which. But yeah, she does conceive, and she does try to convince her husband to lie with her, so she's able to, when the baby is born, to convince him that the baby is his, but he doesn't want to. Like, he keeps saying he's tired and all. And Nanette, she tries to help, and they put his potion in his food that makes him desire her, and it works. But after they make love, he's furious with her. Like, he feels like he raped her essentially, and he seems to, I guess, finally believe his brothers because his family, they told him that her mother's a witch and whatnot. And he leaves. He comes back, and he comes back with a mob. Like, it's the people that also grew up around, like her neighbors, people she knew, and they take Nanette. And the whole scene is this heartbreaking. Like, also she tries to save her mother, but she's unsuccessful. The father won't help her. Like, the preacher, won't help her. And but yeah, Nanette is tried and convicted of witchcraft. Like, it doesn't like very short still. And she's thrown off a cliff and dies. And we see how also she flees with basically with the grimoire. She comes back for the crystal, and she leaves Cornwall. And that's the end of, I guess, her being the center of it, and the end of her POV. Because we jump many years later to her daughter's POV, Irene, who seems like also she fled to Wales, and she was able to convince this wealthy man to allow her to stay on his properties, and she deals with the farming and whatnot. They're not the richest people, but they like have the basic necessities. But to Irene, Ursul's daughter, that doesn't seem like enough because she sees like how the daughter of this family, who she calls fat, and is like she doesn't think it's beautiful in any sense. Like, has everything she wants. Like, it's just she has access to her to nice dresses, like to buy them and whatnot. While she and her mother have to make the dresses, and they're like, I guess because she's able to buy these nice dresses, they're like higher quality than the dresses she and her mother makes, or higher value. And also she constantly has to remind her daughter how lucky she is herself, how I guess privileged that she's even able to have food on the table, which I do like seeing. Irene, she is like Urso in the sense like Urso didn't realize how lucky she was, in the sense like she didn't have to run, she was safe where she was in Cornwall, and she didn't experience what Nanette experienced with her family. And I don't know, I just like the messaging, like how the next generation, they don't know, or they don't understand the previous generation, because we don't know like the poverty that Ursula probably went under when she was on a one, because the only woman who is pregnant, and people probably just didn't want to house her or give her a job or anything. So yeah, and so yeah, there's that. Sorry, I got distracted by text. And we do see as well how also she does seem like, it seems like the difference with Irene with Urso is Urso does have somewhat of a relationship with Sebastian, who Sebastian, he's still a traveling musician, so he's not around a long time, and he sticks around for a short period of time. Tutors Irene, teaches her French, does the whole thing, and then he leaves to do what he does. And it seems like Irene, she finally comes into her powers when she goes into, because their version of their altar, which is like in a basement or cellar of the place they live in, I guess, their situation there. And she thinks that her mother might have cast a spell on her father to make him fall in love with her, but there's a page in the grammar her mother doesn't allow her to read whatsoever. Or it's like she makes someone fall in love with you. And Irene, she touches this page and realizes someone did use this spell, but it wasn't Ursula, it was someone else, and that's when she comes into her powers. And she likes that. She finally feels like she has some power, and she does feel a bit powerful. She feels like she wanted this. She wanted to be a witch. So yeah, that's all I really got up to. And I don't know. I do like the fact like the new generation, they don't know like the things that the previous generation went through. Like they heard the stories, but they don't know the feelings or anything that they experienced. They just know the stories. So yeah, I do like it's like how things from the previous generation to the next generation have changed, and how the new generations, like, they don't really seem to be listening to the warnings of the previous generation, because they honestly do not properly understand what the previous generation went through. So yeah, and yeah, I think that's all for now. So it's the next day, and it's a quite dreary day. It did start off quite nice, but yeah, it's quite rainy and whatnot. And I have done some work and whatnot, and I have also done some reading my work of A Secret History of Witches. Now I'm on page 258. And all I have to say is we finally got out of like Irene's perspective. I would have to say with Irene, so far she's my least favorite perspective, just because besides not really like properly understanding like the story, her and her family's history, really, like she knows what they went through, and it seems like she kind of understands like the difficulties, but she doesn't truly understand. And she's like, she takes everything for that her mother's given her so far for granted. Like and Irene is someone who wants more and more. I don't know. It kind of got on my nerves the way she acted towards her mother. Like, I can see like why she should be grateful, but I also see like the situation she was in might not have been the best. Like when she sees someone like Bowen, I think that was the girl's name, who is the daughter of the men whose manor they are like living on, whose land they're living on, really. But as well with Irene's perspective, like Irene is, I think this is solely because like expectations for women's bodies at the time. I'm not sure, but she's so glad when her waist is getting thinner, and it's like, oh, she has such a thin waist, like it's pencils, and I'm not like shaming her, but it's like, I'm just saying, it's like so annoying. I know it's part of like women were expected to have a thin waist and a big breast, because that's was deemed beautiful. It still is, but still, I don't know. I think it's this from someone where it's like people where that's like a last thing. It's like, I don't know, but her and shaming the daughter because she is chubby or she is fatter, like the Bowen, I believe her name was. For like I just, yeah. When we see how Irene, she and her mother also, they kind of have this like falling out and over like their circumstances, like also with everything she's been through, it seems like she's content with the way things are, while Irene, she's wanting more. She wants a better life for herself, a fancier life, it seems like, for herself. and they do have like a falling out over this, which it doesn't seem like it is ever resolved, even when Irene's circumstances in her eyes do get better. And Irene, she decides to stop helping her mother doing the chores, doing the farm work, like, so she can look more like a lady, so her hands are like less rough and whatnot, and they're finer. And she finds this bell in a recipe in this green warmer. She doesn't find it, but it comes to her when she's out by the lake and in the woods, and she meets her spirit familiar, which is a fox that shows up whenever magic is happening again. And the owner of the manor, anyway, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Irene's circumstances change when the owner of the manor, like they're residing on, decides to sell the horse that is the offspring of his own, because his daughter is a brat. Like, she whips the horse, she's not nice to it. Like, the horse is 2 years old and it doesn't treat her well. It acts up. Like, Irene tries to control it, and instead of teaching his daughter how to properly control a horse, he's like, nah, I'm getting rid of the horse. And he invites Irene to the house because he already has a potential seller, and it's like Irene is able to keep this horse calm, so it's like he's able to sell it. And she meets a lord and decides he'll be the one who will change her fate. And despite her mother's warning about the potion, as it seems like it's the same one she used on her husband to trick him into thinking she's like to tricking him into sleep with her, so she can trick him into thinking Irene is his daughter. Anyway, Irene uses it on the lord who offers to marry her, and they do, and she leaves like while her mother is out, or she starts to pack while her mother's out, and she takes the crystal and a grimoire, and she views them as her inheritance. And we do jump to, again, perspectives to Moraine, I think that's how you say her name, who is Irene's daughter. And Irene, she seems quite distant from Moraine, and Moraine, she has to stay away from her mother when her mother's in a certain mood. Her mother has a temper, and everyone, like, the staff in a house, Moraine's father, like, they all know, like, when Irene is in the mood to stay away, to keep clear of her. And it seems like Moraine doesn't really have a relationship with her mother. Like, the only thing her mother's taught her is how to speak French to keep the French lineage alive, but also, I guess, potentially through Irene hoped not, in case Moraine is a witch, because the grimoire is written in Old French. But yeah, with Moraine, she grew up like in a quite much better situation, I guess, than her mother was. Like, she grew up on this estate in a fancy like environment, and the other lords and ladies, like, they don't really invite their family out to like parties and whatnot because of her mother's like background. And it seems like Moraine doesn't really care. Like, she doesn't really care for these like aristocratic events, like these tea parties where she has to sit down and pretend she's a proper lady. Like, she likes being on her horse. She likes being outside. And yeah, we see that. And yeah, and yeah, she knows about her mother's selfishness, and it seems like Irene is just like. But also, we do see more on Urso not being a part of this new life Irene's made for herself, because while Moraine is out exploring this old like castle she shouldn't really be exploring, she sees this old lady who says she wants to see Irene and Moraine one last time before she dies. So it seems like that relationship never got better. It seems like more Urso and Irene like completely cut ties, are no longer in each other's life, and that's a bit sad. But yeah, man. Irene finally tells Moraine like her family history and like everything that's happened, and the fact that Maureen seems to be a witch herself, even though Irene did not want that, but it is what it is. She sees that as a misfortune, and the part I got to, it ended with Maureen fainted because she's like, I guess, in shock over the fact like she's a witch, her mother's a witch, the whole family is a witch. It's like this unbelievable for her. So yeah, I'm very much intrigued to see how that goes next, and yeah, I'm just intrigued to see more of Maureen, just because I didn't really get much so far, but I do like her perspective. So yeah, I think that's all for now. And so it's the next day, and I've just done some work, some cleaning and whatnot. I also did cut my hair a bit. No footage of me in a hair salon because I do cut my hair. I usually just take off some length, and that's pretty much it for me. But yeah, and I have done some reading of A Secret History of Witches, and I'm on page 318, and I'm just disliking Irene more and more. Like, she's just, like, she thinks she knows, like, she's a mother, she thinks she knows best what's best for her kid. Honestly, she's just selfish, and it doesn't seem like she and Maureen are close in ways. But after she reveals, like, the fact she's a witch, Maureen's a witch, and whatnot, the whole thing to Maureen, Maureen does fall ill, like, with what the doctors diagnosed with as influenza, and she's bedridden, she's not doing great, and she decides she's gonna start trying to get better when she learns her horse. It's spelled YNYR, Arna. I'm so sorry, I don't know how to say that. But he's also acting up, he's not eating, he's not acting like himself. Like, we do learn that Irene had this like secret passage installed for some reason in her womb. And one day Maureen like sneaks out from it, and she is initially in Irene's room to find the crystal ball. And she cannot find it anywhere, and she hears a calling to her, and she just stands in the center of the room and calls to her, and Urso uses it to call to Maureen to summon her, essentially. Which Maureen goes to her, and Irene goes after her and went into the meeting, and there's some tension between Irene and Urso, and it seems like Irene is like her mother in a sense. Like, she didn't produce a child with the man who's supposed to be her husband. We do get it later on, like, who Maureen's father is supposed to be, which was kind of hinted at in Irene's like perspective. So, but Maureen, like, Irene is content with living in a castle. Like, it's everything she's ever wanted, and she knows she doesn't have power like the men like do, and they decide everything. But Irene, I guess, seems content with the fact she does have magic. She does have some power, but it's not enough to control the men. I'm sorry for the change, but we had an unexpected visitor, and I've come to hide myself in my room. But Irene is content, and she does accept the way things are. Maureen, she doesn't seem like she wants to. Like, it seems like she is unlike her mother in a sense. Like, she feels like she's this prisoner in this very fancy prison. Like, she's unable to make decisions for herself. Like, her father wants her to come out to society. Like, it's like, I guess, yeah, it's that kind of like coming out sort of ball they had at the time, and find a man to marry, and it seems like she doesn't want that through her father to stick up with this make this arrangement with this person, I guess. I don't know. Maureen thinks the arrangement will be with the man's son. No, it's with the man. No, someone who's literally old enough to be her father, who is her father's age. And she doesn't want that, and she flees. She goes to the abandoned castle and to talk to Urso and finds that Urso, she was living there, I guess. I guess she wanted to be close to her remaining family, which makes sense, but Urso died there alone, and she finds Urso's body, and she has the horse keeper, or someone who looks after the horses, Jago, take the body to the father in town so that Urso is properly buried. And Moraine decides to flee from the house. Like, she doesn't want to be stuck there. She knows she'll be punished, and she doesn't care. But she doesn't want to marry this man at all. And she goes back for like clothes, for money, and whatnot. And she gets into this argument with her mother, who says that she sent the horse away as well, Jago away, like to keep Moraine in the house. And Maureen, she just leaves with the crystal. Like, she leaves with the clothes on her back and the crystal, like, and her mother, like, didn't care that her mother is dead. Like, Irene only looked for the grimoire that Urso had. She didn't give a damn that her mom's dead, which my word. And it seems like Irene also doesn't care about Maureen, or doesn't really understand about the magic, because the horse was Moraine's familiar, and Irene's like, oh, we'll find another familiar. Like, your familiar is dead, ma'am. Like, your husband shot that fox familiar and made it into a wog. Like, did you find another familiar? No. It's not that simple, but yeah, I think that relationship between Irene and Maureen is completely destroyed in the sense that Irene did tell Maureen she should have smothered her when she was born. Like, who the fuck says that to their child? So, yeah, I am just really much enjoying this so far, and enjoying like the journey these characters are going through, or that Maureen's going through at the moment. And yeah, I'm just curious to see what happens next, if she does go to London, and what will happen then. But yeah, I think that's all for now, so I'll see you when So, it's the next day, and I've done some reading of A Secret History of Witches, and I'm on page 408. And I'm very much enjoying it. We do see how Maureen, Irene made good on her promises and sent the horse and the horse keeper away to kind of control Maureen, and Maureen, she uses the crystal to find them, and they reunite, and all three of them head to London. And like, while Maureen's there, some time passes, and she runs into the son of the man who her father tried to marry her off to, a boy named David. It's Dafydd, so I'm not sure how to pronounce that. And he tells her about these rumors of her parents kind of falling out and her mother leaving in the middle of the night. And so something did happen, and and Maureen, she uses the crystal to find her mother, and it's not because she's doing it because she loves her mother, like her mother's parting words with her, like, but it's more like loyalty towards her mother, towards her blood line. I have a piece of butter in my teeth, but I'm just gonna leave it later. And yeah, and she sees Irene is now living in a castle that Urso was living in, and Jago, he offers to help her because it wouldn't be suspicious for him to go, because there would be a lot of talk if Maureen is seen and whatnot. And he takes Irene to the cottage in which she grew up in, and she's now working as a milkmaid, so all of the work she did to get away from that life fell apart, which I kind of feel like that's what she deserved, because my gosh, was she a horrible woman. But yeah, and she also has, she has Jago like give Maureen a grimoire, as she'll no longer need it. Apparently Maureen's father, he found it and found out what Maureen is, and I guess he didn't tell anyone really, just to like, I guess, protect his own reputation, because and more time passes, and Maureen When she next uses the crystal, she sees David, who she has been developing a crush on with another girl, and she falls into like a rage like you would when you're like 18 and you see your crush with another girl, like enjoy this rage, and she's very close to making that potion, making the same mistakes her mother made. Jago finds her when she's about to like finish making the potion, and she realizes what she was about to do, and she like regrets it, which yeah, I guess like ends that cycle. And we also learn that Irene, she also used this potion on Jago and to make him give her a child, and Jago he did marry Irene at first, but then I guess he resented her for what she did afterwards. So yeah, we do learn the information about like Jago and Irene earlier, but after Maureen like realizes what she's done and she's full of regret, we jump forward in time, and Maureen didn't even need a potion, as it seems like she and David, I don't know how to say that, they did get together and they have a daughter. However, something new, I guess, happens. And Maureen, she died when giving birth to Veronica. Maureen, she also had a son. First she had her son, and then she was told she didn't have another child due to health reasons, but she felt like she had to because, well, the bloodline and whatnot of witchcraft and whatnot, so she sacrificed herself and she didn't do so, I guess. And because she didn't really have her mom around, Veronica, she doesn't know what she is, and when she's like being presented at court, like as her like being presented to society sort of situation, like with in the court of Elizabeth and King Henry, because she is considered a lady even though David's not a lord technically. It's when his father dies he'll get that title, but and Veronica, she has this vision like of a German king stabbing King George and starting a fire, and then comes back and it's the queen gives her a look like she knows something's off, but and she later on has a vision of her brother falling, and when she tells Jago this, he does give her the crystal and a grimoire and tells her the fact she's a witch. She doesn't believe it, and it frightens her because she doesn't really know what she's supposed to do with this. Like, she doesn't know how she'll be able to protect those she loves, and it scares her and sees her worries. And at one point she wishes she just didn't know, like she wishes she lived in this ignorance, which I do. But yep, and we do see her as she uses her magic with this dying soldier and he just get better, and the queen, she apparently Queen Elizabeth, I just want to turn that, sorry. She calls Veronica to have a private meeting and reveals to Veronica that she herself is a witch and she comes from a line of witches. And it doesn't seem like either of her daughters are witch. Yeah, she just wants Veronica to help her if there was war, like have her move into Windsor Castle and kind of join her coven, and that's really like I just got to the point where Veronica meets the other witches in the coven. Because I guess to protect themselves, they only know each other by their first name and not their last name, which makes sense. Like if you're interrogated, you can just say, "Oh, I don't know her last name." So yeah, I'm very much intrigued to see where that goes and what the queen is planning. And yeah. So if the updates on the novel so far, I don't know really much. I like reading like the fears and all of everything that Veronica is feeling during this war, and as well, I guess the love she's supposed to feel because her friend their parents, they think they're gonna get married to like but he proposes when he's about to board the train, and she accepts like in that like in a way that's like you're overwhelmed, you think you might never see this person again, and she does love him, but she's not in love with him, and I do like how that's like kind of not told, but yeah, it's told, because you can love someone, but you don't have to be in love with them. If that makes sense. I don't know. I just like that she still really much. She cares about this person a lot, and yeah, I'm just intrigued to see where her story ends up. And likely I'll either finish this tomorrow or Friday, but we will see. But otherwise it's been quite gloomy today. It's been raining all day. It's been quite dark, and hopefully tomorrow it gets a bit better and a bit lighter. So yeah, that's all for now. So it's the next day, and I've done quite a bit of reading, and I have finished A Secret History of Witches, and I very much enjoyed it. I really enjoyed reading Veronica's, like, I guess her experience during the Second World War, how she's feeling, even though she's not, like, I guess an active participant in the war, like, she's not off in Europe fighting the wars, like, she's still seeing the effects of it. Her house is being turned into this, like, makeshift hospital, so she can see how the soldiers were affected, how they were injured. As well, she is seeing kind of how the effects of, like, bombs being dropped on England and how the destruction they're causing. And as well, her own experience is that she is losing the loved ones in this war, like, and it does have an effect on her. And she's also saying, like, I guess she's also in a position where she has to grow up really fast. Like, I think by the time the war's over, it's like in her mid-20s, and with everything she's gone through, it's like, it makes her as if her life is over before it properly began. Like, she's gone through so much, and really seeing how everyone around her, both physically being changed and also, like, I guess mentally, and like, everyone's had to grow up quite fast. And yeah, I enjoyed seeing that. I enjoyed, like, really seeing the, I guess, more like, I mean, she is still, I mean, there's stuff she's gone through personally, like her own, I guess, conflict over where her belongs live. Because one of the soldiers that's, like, at the hospital, a French soldier named Valerie? Not Valerie, remember Valerie? I don't know how to pronounce that name. But they get quite close, and she begins developing some feelings for him. Like, she does heal him, and then he gets better, and I don't know. And in a way, she doesn't know anything about him, and she does acknowledge that later on in the novel. Like, when after the war, when she goes to find him, like, she realizes she doesn't know anything about this man, about, like, his background. Like, she just knows he had a mother who went missing, who ended up in a camp, in a concentration camp, I'm assuming, and or where he went to school, or anything really about him. But still, there's something about, she feels this connection with him, I guess, and it left her, like, feeling conflicted, because she is engaged to Philip, and she does love Philip. Like, he's her childhood friend. They've known each other all their lives. Their parents do expect them to marry, and she is engaged to him. But she feels like she's falling in love with the soldier, and she does try to use the stone to show her, like, her true love. But before the stone, the crystal is able to give her the answer, someone knocks on her door, and she has to hide it. But yeah, and she is helping the Queen, and since the Queen and her coven, they are using the crystal and their powers to turn the war into England's favor by preventing bombs from going off, protecting their soldiers when they're able to, messing with the weather to kind of confuse the enemy and make things more difficult for the enemy. And she wonders sometimes if it's worth it, because she don't know, it's like she doesn't really know if it's serving a purpose because she is unable to protect those she loves. So it's like, you know, she does think her life is over before she reaches the age of 20, and she's only 24. But yeah, so she has a lot to deal with, and I don't know, I did enjoy that. And what else do I have? Basically, she does become pregnant before she left. She was on leave from Wintry, so to go back to her home. I think it was called Three Bar. And Barry, he was about to go off to go back to fight in the war, and they spent a night together, let's just say, and she ends up pregnant, and she knows it will hurt her father, it will bring Jim to him, it will hurt Philip when he learns that when he learns that she had an affair, and I mean she's pregnant with the other guy's baby. So she finds this like potion in a grimoire, and she uses it to cause an abortion, and that is successful. And it also seems like Philip never learned of any of this, her affair, or any of this, as he did die a few weeks after he and Veronica eloped. And I think maybe around the time of D-Day, from what I gathered. But yeah, and anyway, finding Very is in a way that allowing herself to, I guess, restart her life from it. Because or she loved him and she doesn't want to lose him, or wants to see if she actually truly lost him, because not as a consequence of the war, but because of the half of those around her. She did lose more people. Like she lost her father due to his illness, and he did die apparently on the day that the Second World War ended. Drago died in his sleep, and so did that horse, Arner. So yeah, and she also comes to learn something about Very, is that he comes from a line of gypsies, so he knows a thing or two of like some powerful objects, I guess, I don't know. And I do like she did acknowledge the fact, like, they've both changed since they've seen each other, and what they once had might no longer be there, and she's not gonna force that. She's not gonna force what's not there to be there. If it's not there, it's not there. Like, they've both changed, and yeah, that's just how things are. And she will just focus on healing him from his injury if it's that. But it seems like he still has some feelings for her, and they do marry. And he does find a crystal, and he knows what it is. His mother had one, and apparently the Nazis did take it, and so he'll never know what happened to that. But he brings up the mention of, like, oh, men don't like powerful women, people will hurt you if they know it, which you would think is a bit ironic considering he is a man, but as he's grown up with this sort of thing all of his life, I'm guessing he's just used to it. But so I do have to say that was just like, just because that topic's brought up so many times, and I understand it to show that things will never change. Men will never like hear from women. Men will always want to feel like as if they're the most powerful, and they will go after women if they think these women have more power than them. But so with this last mention, it just felt a bit repetitive, like, I got at you. So yeah, but still he pleads with Veronica not to use the crystal. She agrees. They hide in like the attic, but in life this goes on post-war, like trying to rebuild, and yeah, they do try to conceive a child, like, I guess properly, as I don't know, phrase that, because they did conceive a bit, but she did have that abortion, and she never told him about it. I don't know why. Yeah, she does tell him that the doctor tells her that she's not gonna be able to conceive, something's wrong with her body apparently, and she believes it's her fault because of what she did. her body never properly recovered, and she does try to use the crystal to conceive, but the crystal doesn't react to her spell at all. It seems like her powers are gone, and when she's about to leave, it lights up, and her ancestors go through it, and her mother is there, and she's like, things will happen if they're meant to happen, and all she needs is to love from her husband and let him love her. And yeah, this seems like still the line will die with Veronica, right? So yeah, I mean, Philip doesn't, I'm not Philip, my word, he doesn't seem like he's gonna give up on trying to conceive. Like, if they're still in love, they're still together. If they're not able to conceive, they're not unable to conceive, but still, like, yeah, I don't know. It's intriguing. I don't know what will happen next, but I'm guessing with how the book ended, that's the end of this line. But still, I think overall I did enjoy the novel, and seeing like how the events like that these women went through, how it did have an impact on them. Like, it's, and we do see how it has an impact on them. Like, we're not just told like these events happen, and we learn nothing about how it's affecting the women who have to deal with these events. Like, I don't know, I just felt connected to them, which I did enjoy. But yep, overall I did enjoy this novel, and yeah, and the next book I'm gonna start up is Across the Room, and I'm too lazy to get to it. But yeah, so I'll tell you what I'm reading tomorrow. The next book I'm reading is tomorrow. So yeah, I'll see you when So it's the next day, and I've done some reading, and I'm not feeling my best. It's that time of the month, and usually for me, first days, I just feel low energy and tired. So yeah, I've just been taking it easy. I did have to help my dad and take one of our cars to the mechanic because we were having issues with our brakes, which, yeah. Yeah, I have done some reading, and the book I started is called Edinburgh Twilight by Carol Lawrence. I picked this up at a library book sale last year, I think it is. For a couple of reasons. The title, Edinburgh, I was there in 2017 and I fell in love with the city, but also like this cover, like, this is the wealthy residents of Newtown live in comfort, while Old Town's cobblestone streets are cluttered with criminals, prostitution, and poverty. Detective Inspector Ian Hamilton is no stranger to Edinburgh's darkest crimes. Scarred by the mysterious fire that killed his parents, he faces his toughest case yet when a young man is found strangled in Hollywood Park. With little evidence aside from a strange playing card found on the body, Hamilton engages the help of his aunt, a gifted photographer, and George Pearson, a librarian with a shared interest in the criminal mind. But the body is rising as newspapers spin tales of the Hollywood Strangler. Panic sets in across the city, and with each victim, the murderer is getting closer to Hamilton, the one man who dares to stop him. So yeah, I'm on page, 72? And I would say it's okay so far. I do like the atmosphere of Edinburgh and all the descriptions of the town, of the city, really. Like, I like reading like how it's like the same city, but there's, I guess, different aspects of it. Like, there's the old historical part and new part of it. The different people we come across, like Hamilton's aunt, she lives near the university, and she runs into a lot of people on their way to classes and whatnot. And as well, we do get a POV from, I guess, a street urchin who discovers the body, and we see like how his situation, how he kind of had to grow up fast in order to survive, and we see the different people of Edinburgh and what the city offers. And I think that's interesting. And I do have to say the issue is I'm having is sometimes like some of the things like are just like just because Hamilton, he is someone who feels a lot like he's young. He's only 27, and when he's interviewing the first victim's employer, he feels something towards the older man, and it's like he wants to cry for some reason, which I thought was a bit off. And as well his captain or leader, no, his boss. He looks to Hamilton as like he thinks of him. He sees himself as like a father figure towards Hamilton, I mean, even if the two like butt heads, which and you're like, cause a big quoting, he gets fed up when Hamilton is like quoting Shakespeare to him or something, quote burns. So. But yeah, we start with the first victim going up Arthur's seat, and he's going up there just because he did get a letter from someone who's blackmailing him, or supposedly. It's not like detailed what's in the letter. We don't know what's in it. He just goes up to deal with the blackmailer to pay him, to silence him, and when he gets to the top, he just meets the person. He just meets his blackmailer, who tricks him and makes him think like there's something behind him. And when he turns around, the blackmailer like he strangles him and then falls him off the how would you describe like Arthur's rock, like Arthur's seat, like a rock, a mountain, probably mountain, but yeah, he falls him off, and it makes the police look think it's suicide. I guess because they are like overworked, they take things at face value, like they don't even bother like undoing the man's like necktie or anything like to see his neck, because when Hamilton does that later to when the body's in the morgue, he does see the strangulation marks. Like, I don't know, his captain just wants to write it off, like open and shut case, when really to Hamilton is not that simple. And we learn as well with Hamilton that he is a writer, like he had dreams of becoming a writer, a poet when he was young, but then the fire happened and he suspected it was arson, and that's how he got into crime, into becoming a cop. He wanted to find out who caused the fire, and and we also learned that it seems like he has some effects, or not symptoms, but trauma from it. Apparently it's an open secret in the police station that he is someone who doesn't do well in closed spaces. It seems like he's claustrophobic. Apparently, with the fire, he was trapped in a basement for some time. So, yeah, but he still writes. He writes poems when he's alone. And I do like with the fact he's both a writer and a cop, like how the two are connected, because he thinks. And that's how, because both a writer and a cop, they can imagine the worst of humanity. And with Hammond, like I think there was a quote I actually marked that I thought was, yep, because I've been there. Let me just find that. Yeah. Page 6. It's, as a writer, Ian believed he had a keen eye for the truth. The ability to see through the masks people wore. He believed writers and policemen shared a knack of seeing the darker side of their fellow men. Like, you're able to see through someone's bullshit when they're trying to trick you and make up a story. It's like, I know what you're trying to do. Tell me the truth. Like, yeah, I don't know. I just like that. And as well, I also like the way he views crimes, because he views it in a sense like, finding the body is the end of a story. His job is going back to the beginning and figuring out all of the events that led up to this person's death. And I just find that very interesting. And yeah. And I see how his boss tries to doubt him. Like his boss, it seems like he just wants to open and shut this case. Like a lot's going on in everyone's life. They're on their stuff overwork as well. It seems like his boss is also doing the his own stuff. He does have a sick wife, and he tries to tries to doubt Hamilton, make him think what happened to him as a kid. He will cloud his judgment and interfere with the investigation, even if he says he won't. That whole thing is weird. Yeah, and I do. Sorry if this is so for the place, but that's how the novel is. But we do see Hamilton with his aunt, and their relationship, like they care for one another. They love one another. I just like seeing that relationship. I'm very much intrigued to see the relationship between him and George, because George works as a librarian at the university, and Hamilton goes to him to get some books about strangulation and just to do his own research. So we do see, like, I guess that first meeting, which, yeah. And yeah, that's all I have to say from them. Like, I'm intrigued. And as well, we do get sections from the murderer's POV, kind of like him looking over the city, or him just showing up randomly, like someone who blends in, like a ghost almost. And we learn that the first victim reminded him of his older brother, who he resents because he felt like the brother is bigger and stronger than he is, but yet he didn't even try to stand up to their abusive father. And it seems like the murderer realizes that, like, the amount of power he got from taking the life of his first victim, and it gives him a high. Like, and as well, it's also he's someone who's been powerless for probably all of his life, and once he gets this sense of power, like, he thrives off it. Alright, that's good. Like an idea of who it might be, and if the fire in this is connected into me, I'm not gonna share it, but and yeah, and we also see how he lures the second victim into an alley. Like, this second victim of his, he's looking for a fight. Like, he thinks life's just treated him unfair. He is part of Irishmen who got on a ship to Scotland during the Great Famine, and they've just been, like, overworked, underfed, like not treated like humans. And this guy is pissed, and he's looking for a fight. And I guess the murderer sees that, and it's like, tells him to go into an alleyway, and he's like, I'm getting my fight, yes. So yeah. And yeah, and when as street urchins, they do find him, they go wanting to tell the press, because the press do pay them like a couple quid, I think it is, or something like. So I'm intrigued to see, like, how the press getting involved will interfere in the investigation. But yeah, so far I like the atmosphere. I like really seeing the different characters, and I'm intrigued to get to know them more. So yeah. And yeah, I think that's all for now. So I'll see. So it's the next day, and it's quite a chilly day, and I've just spent it doing some errands. I had to do grocery shopping and whatnot. Sorry for no B-roll in this vlog, but it's just been quite cold, and yeah, I've just not really had a desire to walk really outside. And like, in Peter Park's, like, it's like 30 degrees, but I don't know, I get cold so easily, annoyingly, so yeah. But I have done some reading as well of Edinburgh Twilight, and I'm on page 152. And so far I am intrigued. There are, like, bits, like, I wish we kind of went in more depth about, like, with the characters and whatnot. Like, and there's some things that were just like, why now? Why is this being brought up now? Like, what is causing this? But yeah, I mean, let's get to the point and think of this. And it seems like we do learn that the second victim, he also had a playing card on him, and it's like the design of it is something that's quite unusual. Like, it seems like no one has ever seen this before, and we also see how when Ian and the street urchin who found the body go to like the crime scene from the police station, the crowds outside like they want answers, they want the police to do their job, they want to see like if the police are doing something. Like it's like both concerned citizens like afraid of like what's going on, but also the press. And we do see how being surrounded by crowds affects Hamilton more than being in closed spaces. Like he tries to push for the crowd and then a hand lands on his shoulder and he, like I guess, panics and punches the person and he gets knocked out. I do like reading how the murderer, he's using like the anonymity, I guess, of Edinburgh to conceal himself. Like he relies on the fact there's people about the city all the damn time. Like the city's never quiet. He relies on the fact like even in not so nice weather there might be someone out, or he's able to be invisible. But I do say I just have to skim a part where he like is reminiscing, I guess, on the crimes he's committed, and it's like he gets off on it. Let's just say that. I just have to skim that just because I just don't read it. And yeah, he hides in white sight. Like he's able to blend in. Like he's just another face in the crowd. You wouldn't notice him, which makes sense considering the amount of times like the helicopter and being like, oh, this individual didn't see this shadow in a doorway, and then he disappeared or something. I don't know. And I also do like how with certain events, like we do learn, not learn, but I do like, like if you go to an opera or some show, like people who are separated in society, like the intellect or cultural elites, they in a way socialize with those who you would consider are below them, like innkeepers, merchants, like people who are not so high in society. Like there's still separation in that room, like where people sit and whatnot, but the mingo, they all come together for like a show or a concert or something. We do see when Ian's aunt Lillian goes to like a hypnotist kind of act, which is quite interesting. And it also seems like this case, for some reason, it's having kind of back on Ian as he does have a dream of the fire that killed his parents, and I feel like that should symbolize something, like our dreams do say something about what we're dealing with, and it's like, I guess, making him think of if things were really how he remembers them. He reminds himself that he can't linger in the past. Those days are behind him, and he can move forward. Like, why is this bringing it up now? Like, why is he wondering now if his parents are truly happening? Why is he having this dream now? Like, why is he remembering the past? Like, what is it about this crime that's causing this? Like, I bet there's been many scenarios where he's felt claustrophobic, but like, I don't know. I would like to know like why now, because it seems like he's like 27, I think it was. And I'm assuming this fire happened when he was like a young boy, way over a decade ago. So I think and it also seems like he does share something with the murderer in a sense. Like he also kind of resents his brother. Like his brother fell apart after the death of the parents, and from what I understand, he wasn't even in the house when it happened. Ian was, it was Ian who pushed through. His brother, he was in medical school, and when the fire happened, he dropped out, and it seems like he's just off on a continent, like drinking, gambling, working temporary jobs, like holding on anything permanent. And it's like kind of unfair in a way. I mean, just seeing more about Ian's like, family history and just station is getting letters from people claiming to be the murderer, to as well given suggestions on how the police should do their jobs. But there was one letter that catches Ian's intention. It's like he has to catch the murderer before he kills him, like before the person who writes the letter kills him. And he's reading on the stationery from this hotel, and it's like, I'm not sure if you should go to this hotel to question who might have written it, as like the person who could have just used the stationery written it for the cops of their son, or if it's like the murderer playing with them or something. Yeah, but there's this scene where Ian, he said that a tavern with the sergeant who he's working with, and he picks a fight with one of the like wagglers, like just to try and talk to him. And that seems quite funny because from what it's described, Ian's half this guy's size, like he should be pulverized and everything. We mean how Ian is the one who, I guess, is the stronger of the two. Like he's a better fighter of the two men, and he just gets some answers. And I don't know, this was a weird thing between. And yeah, and with Ian's wife, his ongoing to that hyperness show, apparently. One thing I just read is that the happiness he's in his dressing room. He also has the same eyes as the murderer, like how dead, like he's using the light that's reflected off him during the show to kind of like look like he has life in his eyes to kind of trick the crowd. And the murderer, he pays him a visit in his dressing room, and it seems like the two are related. It seems like this is the murderer's brother who he resents. And he does give the murderer money either to keep him quiet about something, like to protect his reputation, or to help the murderer so that he'll leave him alone. Like it seems like the murderer doesn't really have a job, and he just relies on his brother to do stuff for him, to help him, or to force him to help him for payback for not being able to help him as a kid. Like, I don't know, there's very much I'm thinking about that. Yeah, I don't know. I think what I'm most thinking is like, why is all of this stuff, like with Ian questioning if his parents were truly happening, why is it being brought up now? Because again, it seems to me like everything of this happened when he was quite young, like his parents' death, like it's been many years. Like, what is the trigger of it all? I guess. Like, I mean, that's the most intriguing part to me. So, yeah. I think that's all for now, and that's the end of this vlog. And yeah, if you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment below, tell me what you've been up to recently. If you want to, please subscribe to this channel. If you want to follow me on any social media, all those links are in the down bar below. I'll see you guys next time I post a video. Bye.